back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the zoo. It's Sunday night live. That means everyone can come from YouTube. Everyone can come from Patreon. And we can all get together and just have a good time talking about how it has hit the fan big time. Wow. It is, as usual, folks, it has been a completely bizarre week. And I think, as prepared as we are, you just can't expect the levels of stupidity that keep happening to continue. Yet they do. They absolutely do. Anyways, I want to thank, we had one of our subscribers put together a, this is how you subscribe to the Prepared Mind video. And I wanted to play it. It's going to become part of our show. And it's great that you guys want to help participate. So here it is. Anyways, we'll let the provider remain anonymous because I don't want anyone to get in trouble for actually helping out. How dare you help those people out? Don't you know they're DVEs? It's absolutely incredible, folks. Who we are, right? It's my God. It's the zoo. Welcome back, and folks, the zoo is special. It's the one night a week where you guys have the opportunity to run the whole show front to back. We've got a super chat button up there. We've got all kinds of buttons to push. And I tell you what, I love to push the liberals buttons, and all the topics that you love to bring up typically do. They just go, they spin and they just lose their shit. They get triggered. They go off. They have their little microaggression fits. You know, it's funny how reality is causing them to have the strangest reactions, absolute strangest reactions. Anyways, we've got Jolene in the house. And as usual, I don't know if we could ever live without Ooman and his mighty blue wrench, the blue wrench of the moderator. And hopefully we get Kaz in here too. Now, there's another thing that I love to do on Sunday Night Live, and that is get more live views than the President of the United States on his YouTube channel. There's nothing I like better than to see him, do far worse than us. And hell, I don't come on and, I don't know, trip over my notes, forget how to read the teleprompter, because I don't have notes and I don't have a teleprompter. And he can't even do that half as well as we do it here. Literally, not even 0.1%. It's crazy, folks. But they're losing it. They're falling apart. They're absolutely falling apart. Now, as an example, like there are emotional reactions to things that you and I would talk about. Fucking strange. They get triggered and they throw a fit. You even speak any sort of evidence, fact, or even opinion and say, look, this is just my opinion, and they lose their shit. Now, get this. Vice President Kamala Harris, a reporter started to ask her about the Americans trapped in Afghanistan. Trapped. There are Americans trapped in Afghanistan. It's not like they're trapped there because, they missed their flight. It's not like they're trapped there because of a storm, a bad day at the airport, the traffic jam. No, they're trapped there because a terror organization cut a deal with the Biden White House. Cut a deal. We get to own the country now. Where's my country? Right? I'll tell you what, I'll take the state of Texas. And just give me the state of Texas, and the federal government can just leave. And yeah, right. This is what, so yeah, they're trapped there. Not because there's no fuel or the plane broke. They're trapped there because our government cut a deal and left them there. And Kamala Harris starts laughing, folks. The vice president is laughing when asked about Americans being trapped in Afghanistan. What is wrong with these people? I mean, is that some sort of mental derangement? Literally, how do you think that's funny? How can that even elicit a humorous response? I mean, I understand, folks. Some people laugh when they become uncomfortable. It's a visceral reaction, And I do it sometimes. It's, you ask me a stupid question, I'd be like, come on. And I start to laugh. But the picture I have of her face, it looks like someone just told her a good joke. Is that the proper reaction? I am not the vice president. I am not the president. And I'm sure that by the time I get elected president, I'll learn when and when not to laugh. Right? I mean, it's just a whole nother world, a whole nother caliber human being that's supposed to be in the White House, in those positions of massive executive authority and responsibility. Right? Kind of like when she sat down and did a press conference and addressed the world. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. No, it is not a hey, guys type of job. You're not the teacher. We're not the class. We're not your family and your relatives. We're the American people with a capital P. All right, folks. So that I couldn't believe that, talking about triggering Democrats, triggering morons. It is your night. It is your turn to start asking questions. I've got a ton of shit I want to talk about, folks. I always do. And the only thing that keeps me from talking 24/7 is I gotta get sleep. I gotta relax. I gotta do something, to take my mind off this. So this weekend, I got a couple hours of a break. It was nice. I took a short road trip, and that was it. But still, it was enough. Batteries recharged. Time to start thinking about what's going on in the world, what we can do about it, how we need to be ready with all the correct items and know how to plan. Right? I talked with a friend who went and got some deep storage freezers, like a chest freezer. And he said, I'm going to pack them full of meat. I'm going to Costco. I'm going to pack them full of meat. I'm going to stack in there beef and a little bit of pork and some chicken and layer it all the way up so I don't have to go digging for anything. And I'll just eat pork, chicken, and beef all the way down when the time comes. And I talked to another friend, and she said the same thing. She's like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I need to get one of those. Been thinking about it. People are getting prepared, folks. They know the shit is coming. Now, one of the two is a prepper. The other one wasn't a prepper. But they're both thinking and talking like preppers. It's getting hard to tell between someone who's getting ready for SHTF and someone who is subconsciously getting ready for SHTF. That's why I say share the link to these videos. It's having an effect. It's having an awesome effect, folks. We're getting the word out. People are receptive, and they're becoming more receptive as they see the idiocy that we just demonstrated, the Kamala Harris idiocy. Right? How can she start to laugh? It's mind-boggling stupid. So, folks, your questions get priority on Sunday Night Live at the Zoo. Super chat button right up here. Hit that button. Donation pays the GTFB and SB. That's the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back Fund. That keeps the lights on the office, keeps the fan blowing in the bunker, keeps us all going. And we rely on you. You guys it's incredible the support we get from you guys on all fronts. We've got the preparedmind.club. That is your store. And we're probably, I think, going to get, we're going to pick up another company. It's a flashlight, tactical light company, wants to provide us with equipment to supply to you guys if you need such items. So I said, first, Jolene and I were talking, first thing we need is a sample. I need to see quality and all that. And so we're continuing to do what we do here. We're doing stuff on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place getting the word out. But really, in all truth, it's you guys are number one. You getting the word out there, sharing the videos and telling people, hey, right, you're feeling the pressure now, right? You're seeing what's going on in Afghanistan. You're seeing all of the hospital stupidity. You better get prepared. You bet. If you see what's going on in Australia, we're going to talk about Australia. I'm sure some of you are going to want to talk about Australia. And we're almost up to 500 people live right now. We have now topped the President of the United States for people live at one time. His YouTube channel versus you guys. That's how popular this topic is. This topic right now, what is going on in the world, what we should do about it, right? And again, we share information. We don't violate terms of service. We don't, glamorize, promote violence, incite violence, none of that. We just talk about what's going on. And it becomes just plainly obvious when that you better do something about it. There's not much you can do about it with regard to government. But I do recommend calling your local politician, state politician, federal representative, text, call, email, comment on their message boards, whatever you can do to get through to these people to say, hey, look, we support you and you should be serving us. Constitution, law, peace. You better get this country back before it gets destroyed. So we're going to start off today with Orlando. He does a $10 super chat donation, goes to the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back. You don't get to go to the RMZ, John. You have to stay here with us. And I am. And again, this is what I do. It's incredible. I try explaining it to people I meet, and you just meet people, and they're like, so yeah, what do you do? And I say, well, I talk to people on a daily basis about what is going on in the world and what they can do about it. And they're like, that's your job? I'm like, yeah, can you believe it? They're like, that's a pretty cool job. All right, so Orlando says, hey, John, just finished a 75-hour work week. Missed a lot. Any updates on ammo, brother, if you can still talk about that? Yes, we can talk about ammunition. What I've heard is that there is going to be a type of moratorium on imports. There's a lot of what we've had an incredible amount of problems with is rumor, Orlando. A lot of people, they're getting a news story and then they're blowing it up. Now, in other cases, there are news stories out there that aren't getting any attention, not nearly the attention I thought they should get. And maybe it's because of the censorship. Like over in Australia, 24,000 high school students were forced to go do something that you and I would think is absolutely crazy, but they were mandated to do it. And wow, that really hasn't gotten a lot of play. Not the type of play I would have thought it would. But people that now on my private, there's a lot of you folks know how to get a hold of me. You figured out how to do emails. You figured out how to, some of you are really clever texting me. Some of you have figured it out. And I keep hearing, I can't believe what's happening in Australia. And then we actually have people, this is an international broadcast. It's an international audience. You know, it's 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, but there's people around the world. We've got typically Vincent Boyle from Belfast, Ireland, and then we've got people from Australia. We've had people from as far south as Tasmania, you know, as far east as China, all over the planet. And so we get information from everywhere. And what's going on in Australia is making Americans cry, and it's breaking their fucking hearts. Not to mention in America what's being done. But as far as ammo goes, you can get ammo. But the Biden administration is doing what they can to make it more difficult, more expensive. They're attempting, according to some reports, to cause shortages again. Now, all that's going to do, anytime the Democrats, and this is important to know, and important to note, anytime the Democrats start moving against ammunition or magazines or rifles or handguns, anytime they start pointing out how evil and bad, sales go through the roof. So just understand that if you need your freedom seeds, you need to go buy them now. You don't have to rush out. You don't have to, to go to the first place on the internet, shop around, find out who has it, best ammunition at the best price, do your shopping. There's going to be a chance, folks, where it gets nasty again. And I believe it will get nasty again as far as supplies. Absolute supplies. We've got Wild River Preppers checks in and he became a YouTube member. Awesome. We're trying to do everything we can with YouTube. We're trying to do everything we can with YouTube to make it so we become indispensable. They don't want to get rid of us. So there's a membership button on YouTube, which is great. It's another way to support the network. It tells YouTube you're important. Now, one of the things that I learned this weekend, because I went and talked to somebody who's a social media expert, is that if you put a hashtag and whatever the hashtag saying is, like potato head, hashtag potato head, whatever hashtags are out there, the more you put in the comments, the more YouTube sees that and goes, this is some important stuff. People are liking this conversation. It's like giving the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button, right? It's like subscribing. Yeah, subscribing, right? All the things we do, thumbs up, subscribing, hashtag, sharing the videos, all of these things make us indispensable. It's harder and getting harder for YouTube. They hate us. They want to get rid of us, but they're coming after us also to make them a more important item in the internet. So it's working. You guys are doing your job. We are growing incredibly. We've grown, I think, 300 subscribers a day. And then I want you, though, over on Patreon. And the reason is because a couple of weeks ago, we were just gone. Prepared Mind channel, Prepared Mind backup channel, which is the BC. In fact, down below in the description, video description, there's links for all the different Prepared Mind channels. I need you to make sure you're subscribed to each of those channels, because they could take us down. They could take down the BC channel at any time. And so you need to be able to get to there or the R Syndicate and find out where we're at. Now, people who are on Patreon, if you go to patreon.com and you're there, it's a subscription of $2 a month. If you want, you can do 3 or 4 or 5 or 500. I don't care. But it gets you in the door there. And over there, well, while YouTube thought that we were dead in the water, it was a suspension for 2 weeks on both channels. But the deal was people on Patreon, they didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a lick. We still showed up. And over there, folks, you get all the links to all the news stories. You get links to video presentations on stuff I can't talk about here, but I can get you the information. And that's what we're using Patreon for. So it's a premium service and for a discounted price, but you get so much more information, plus the worldwide weekly wrap up uncensored. And then Monday through Friday, you can participate in Q&A. Just being a member, we do Q&A. So anyways, My Patriot Prepper became a YouTube member. Excellent. Wow. Very good. So that's a new way. And KY Patriot Prepper said, just ordered a little more ammo. Bada bing. Good idea, folks. Dude, seriously. Hey, dude, seriously. I love this guy's name. He's awesome. Seriously, dude. Dude seriously says, I recommend Cash App so you will get 100%. I believe we have Cash App. The Prepared Mind now has Cash App. The Urban Aboriginal, Rudy, and he's got a great YouTube channel. If you want to look at like how to do things old school, so, and he's not just prepping, he's got old school survival skills. Very interesting cat. But anyways, he said get Cash App. So we got it. I think Jolene has put it up there, or we're trying to get YouTube to put it up there. I don't know right now. My head is spinning already with all the shit that's going on. And the week hasn't even really started. It's Sunday Night Live. So we got Bernard Shreve Jr. with 556 donation. He says, so John, are we ready to write our people in Congress about HR 4980 yet? No sting, no travel. Yeah. I don't care what the bill number is, folks. I don't care whether it's an HB or an SB, whether it's a House bill or a Senate bill. I don't care where it comes from. We need to write all of our congressmen, all of our senators, and tell them there is no such thing as a travel restriction based on anything. We have a fundamental human right. We have a fundamental God-given right to travel, period. That's it. It's so simple. And Steve Conlon, thank you, sir, for the excellent single malt Scottish water. I have water imported from Scotland. Thank you very much. But yeah, folks, we need to write Congress and say no travel restrictions, period. You don't get to tell us if we can or can't travel based on anything about us, period. I even have a problem with the this other TSA crap, right? We don't like you. You know, the government has overstepped its bounds, period, and they're continuing to push. Right? I'm on the no-fly list. Oh, really? You're on the no-fly list? Why? I don't know. I just got put on it. A friend of mine did get put on it because his name was the same name as the shoe bomber back 20 years ago. The shoe bomber, maybe it wasn't quite 20 years ago. No, it wasn't quite 20 years ago. Anyways, the shoe bomber has the same name as my friend, and he got put on the no-fly list. I think he's still on the no-fly list, but at least he's in the great state of Texas. God bless you, Rick. All right, we got Bad Wolf checks in with a $10, awesome, $10 super chat donation. Super chat, get your questions up here. You ask a question, I'll make you famous. He says this, found you on YouTube over 5 years ago. You are the reason I started prepping. No real question, just waiting for the first freedom seed to be sent downrange at tyranny. You bet, folks. What he's talking about there is you get a sign, you put the word tyranny on there, and then you put it downrange and you have fun with it. Poke some holes in it. Everyone loves to poke holes in the word tyranny. But yeah, that's really where we're getting close to now, Mr. Bad Wolf. And again, I'm not promoting it and I'm not inciting it. I'm not glamorizing it. It's gonna happen. I got a video link today from Australia, and I watched it. I think it was a tweet. Someone tweeted out the Australian people busting through a police barricade, a line of policemen, and just knocking them on their asses and charging through the streets. And it was incredible. There is an order to chaos, or maybe I should say there's an order to how chaos happens. It starts with government being tyrannical, so people protest. Then government becomes more tyrannical, and people refuse to comply. Then the government sends out their people to be violent, to force people to comply with their mandates. And that's when people become violent. I can't stop it. The cards are in motion, and typically tyranny does not ever back up. It doesn't realize it made a mistake. They're just assholes. And they never quit. Tyrants never quit and go away. They have to be defeated and removed from the equation, whether they're domestic or foreign. In the American Revolution, it was a foreign tyrant, King George, and his authority was removed and the people became free. Other places like France, in France, they said, we've had enough of your shit, King Louis. And they caught him and removed him head first with a guillotine. All right, we got Heidi Carson checks in with a $10 super chat donation on PayPal. Thank you, Heidi. She says, keep on keeping on forward. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, I tell you, folks, go down. We're gonna go down. The ship is sinking. We're going down. You may as well go down swinging. Literally at this point, you got to fight. You got to fight back. And the way we fight back, folks, is by being honest, by being on good behavior, not breaking any laws. In fact, there's really an incredibly powerful law. And I'm so disgusted with Amy Coney Barrett, with her decisions that have been made from the bench. But I remember during either her confirmation process or shortly before, while speaking, she said, well, the Declaration of Independence is not law. Well, no, it's not statute. It's not statute. It is law, though. If it was not a legal or lawful document, then what bearing or weight did it have or could it have with King George? So on a philosophical basis, Amy Coney Barrett, you suck, because it is a lawful document. It is a legal document, and it told King George, you don't own us. You don't own the land we stand on. You don't own our property. We do. Our rights are ours, and you're a tyrant, and we're done with you. But that's not how tyrants see it, folks. And since they don't see it that way, that we have rights, we have an obligation, we have a duty, a right and a duty to defeat tyrants. They don't see it that way, folks. They don't. So they're going to continue to push on us, which means you're going down no matter what. Your rights are done forever, no matter what, unless you start swinging. Fight back, folks. Pick up that phone, type, everything else. But also get your freedom seed spreaders ready and get a good supply of freedom seeds. All right, we got Ray Drake with a 762 donation. Thank you, Ray Drake. He says, when are you going to Hollywood with all your internet talent? You would be a genius around those culls. I tell you what, I've had it with California. I'm enjoying watching Gavin Newsom squirm like the worm he is. Hollywood, you know, this, if a major news corporation said, look, we need a really just brassy, loud a-hole to fill a time slot, I might consider it, but that they don't contact me. The last time I was contacted for a television show was Alone. Those people got a hold of me. They were the last one. They may have been like, that was years and years ago though. But yeah, they don't want people like me. I'm just too normal, I think. And probably a little too crass, I guess. Whatever. Screw them. Fuck them. It's not about making money anymore. You see, that's it. It's not about talent. It's not about entertainment. For us, it is. For you and me, it is. We're about information. We're about thinking. We're about getting it out there and saying, look, here's some information, you think about it. Here's my opinion. What do you think? They don't want that. They want to tell you what your opinion is in the mainstream media. You know, they don't particularly like you or trust you. You know, they want you to put your money in their banks. They want you to put your money in their Wall Street. They want you to put your trust in their political leaders. And look what we get for that. Look what we get for that. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. He says, leaving stranded Americans, just telling Americans, you figure out how to get to the Kabul airport on their own. That's the best way to handle this situation. The Secretary of State, does he not realize that people are being murdered right now? Does he not realize that Americans are having their passports and information taken from them? Does he not realize that people, that they're controlling travel, like good tyrants, like they want to do in the United States, these leftist lunatics. But yeah, they're putting up roadblocks, checkpoints. People are having a hell of a time trying to get to the Kabul airport without getting in trouble, without getting caught, without being seen. It is incredible what is going on over there. While Nancy Pants Pelosi right now, this weekend, was hosting a hoity-toity fundraiser in California, while Americans are suffering and being beaten and who knows what else in Kabul, right? Afghanistan. It's a crying shame. And this fucking idiot, Anthony Blinken, says the best way to deal with things is to let people figure it out for themselves. Armed terrorists, armed with American guns, as well as their standard AK-47s. But now they have American weapons, American ammunition. They have American missiles, American explosives, American Humvees, transportation, transport, even drones, folks. Not to mention aircraft, Black Hawk helicopters. Thank you, Biden administration. Thank you, Anthony Blinken. Thank you, General Milley and the Joint Chiefs of Staff for supplying all of this equipment to the Taliban. And here's a little clue. Here's a clue, Department of Defense. Right now in Afghanistan, you've got all of the major Taliban leadership very tightly compacted, very tight. I wonder, you know, when all the leadership for the bad guys are very closely packed, and you know they're the bad guys, including someone, I think there's a, what, $5 million a reward for his arrest and capture or something, or even death. They're all right there. What an opportunity to solve problems around the world. But no. The American government, the United States government, rather, is going to be and treat the Taliban honorably, as if they have honor. You see, that's what's incredible. It is, and folks, the Taliban does not think the United States government has honor. Around the world, political leaders are now turning their backs on our leadership here because there's no honor. British Parliament holds President Joe Biden in contempt for what he has done with this Afghanistan debacle, his failure. It's a catastrophe, they say. It is a catastrophe, folks. And it didn't just affect Americans. It affected the Brits, the English. Absolutely incredible what's going on. Let's move on. We got Johnny Freedom Seed. Nice, Johnny Freedom Seed, with a $20 super chat donation. Thank you, Johnny. He says, hello, John, and hello, all Semper Fi. Folks, Semper Fi is the Marine Corps motto. It means always faithful. And I've said everyone needs to say it. What are you faithful to? Your belief systems, your thoughts, your understanding of what justice and truth and the American way is all about. Never give up your faith. Never let them take it from you. They're trying, folks. So always be faithful to what you know is true and correct and the right thing to do. We got Escape with Jay. Hey, Jay, I hope all is well up north, buddy. He says this in a $5 super chat donation. Keeps me here. He says, one thing long distance adventures taught me, gear fails. So make sure you're testing your gear before you need it. And now is the time. And that is superb advice. Thank you, Jay. Jay also has a great channel on YouTube. But yeah, testing your gear. I learned a valuable lesson when I went to the jungle at the RMZ and tamed the jungle, turned it into a beautiful living quarters off the grid. I learned, though, early on, I tested my solar equipment and it all worked. But I had 2 different manufacturers and I fried stuff. So test your equipment, make sure you know what you're doing with it. Right? You know, there's so many components. You know, you got food. I always say learn to cook your long-term food storage. Learn how it cooks, what it tastes like, how to prepare it. Practice it, eat it every now and then, get used to it, because shit hits the fan out here really bad. Could have food shortages. You're going to need to be good with it. Food, water. If you've got a Berkey water filter, we sell all of this stuff, right? Berkey water filter, we sell it at the preparedmind.club. All you do is take water, pour it in the top, and these things will filter thousands of gallons of water, right? It's decent clean water in, but it takes the impurities out. Great water filter. It makes water that tastes like metal. My water at the old Bunkaroo tastes like metal. What goes through the Berkey filter comes out tasting like nothing, which is good. It tastes like water. Practice with it, use it, ensure it works well. Food, shelter, water, you know, what's your shelter, all this stuff. Practice, 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 as well as with your Freedom Seed spreaders. You need to practice. You need to be proficient. You need to be accurate. The more practiced you are, the more comfortable you'll be, and the more familiar you will be, and the better off you will be. Kind of like being mentally prepared. You know what's going on outside. Right? You realize that shit has hit the fan. You realize people are going to be hungry, scared, sick, injured. and they're going to be terrorized. And so they're not going to be thinking very clearly. You, on the other hand, are very aware of what's going on. You know the circumstances, what caused it, and you're not worried about your next meal. You're not worried about anything except them. And so you can focus on the problem. The biggest problem we have is other people. Not talking about your allies or your family or anyone else. I'm talking about other people who you don't know. They get to be a real problem when things get bad. Just ask them down in South Africa how they like that. Ask them down in Australia. They thought they knew who these politicians were. Didn't we elect these guys to represent us? And then the politicians just turn on everybody. I wonder why. I wonder what power, what authority is influencing these Australian politicians who have decided to mandate everything to the Australian citizenry, the Australian people, as if they own them, as if the Australian people have no rights. They do have rights, folks. They took a different course to get to this idea of having freedom and rights than the United States, a little different course, but still, they're a free people and ought to be, and they're not being treated like it. So you got to understand there's going to be reactions to all of this. We've got Damian English with a 556 super chat donation. Thank you, Damian English. This is what he says. Remington is back in business. They are claiming 1 million rounds per day. I miss the old prices, John. I tell you, man, I do too. Wow. Yeah, Remington makes, I consider, a very good ammunition. Even their 22 ammunition. I used to shoot a lot of Remington 22s. It's high quality, good powder, everything else. I mean, look, I miss the good prices. But if you can, and I recommend this, buy quality ammunition, and sometimes, like, I don't like steel casing for 223 or 556. I just don't like steel casing. It's cheap. I don't like it. A lot of people say it's not a problem anymore. They got the problems that happened with it fixed. I just still don't like it. That's just me, though. But it's cheaper. It's cheaper. All right, we got DDG checks in. Hey, DD, I hope all is well with you. I love saying DDG, too. Makes me happy. $10 super chat donation. This is what DD says. She says, hey, John, what about the Hurricane Henry? Oh, in your best French accent. Oh, Hurricane Henri. Oh, Hurricane Henri. Can they manipulate those things, loss of power, et cetera, to their advantage? The short answer is yes, they can. The long answer is yes, they can, but they don't want to tell us exactly how they do it. Decades and decades ago, before probably we were even born, they were putting ammonia in clouds called seeding clouds to get them to rain more. They've developed electronic broadcasting nets, HAARP, HAARP. I read about that back in the 90s. There was a book called Angels Don't Play This HAARP, HAARP, and high altitude frequency modulation, skipping power off the ionosphere, and then it gathers more energy and they can direct it. There's people that show satellite or Doppler imaging, and it shows waves just coming out of sometimes Antarctica, sometimes Alaska, other places around the planet. They have these HAARP machines on vessels in the ocean. They're mobile. And so it is a big concern. Another form of weather manipulation that's claimed are these contrails, or chemtrails rather, the chemtrails, chemicals that are sprayed into the air, aerosolized, that can affect weather. They've discovered they don't take this sort of thing lightly. Back in the 1950s, the U.S. government considered and talked about using weather as a weapon. Right? If you can direct storms by raising and lowering atmospheric pressures, if you can induce rain or induce severe rain over a particular area by reducing the pressure, You reduce barometric pressure, water droplets stick together, they fall out of the sky, and then they flood, and you've got damage. So yes, weather, very worrisome. We got Hurricane Henri coming, and look out. So far this year, Florida seems to have missed all the fun, and so far this year, the rest of the Gulf Coast and up here in Texas is good. But yeah, it looks like it's incredible. We're going to find out, folks, what happens. Hurricane season is for the next few months. Hang on to your hats. It's just one more way to jack us around. NC Austin checks in with a 223 donation. Awesome there, NC. And he says, why did Bobo ban my Russian toys and seeds? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, they want to claim that Russia is a bad place. So your Russian seed spreaders, your Russian seeds, right? They claim that Russia is a bad place. It's, you know, that Putin is a thug. Putin is a murderer. Well, let's see. How many people are going to die because Joe Biden just pulled everything out of Afghanistan, causing people to die, causing people to die who otherwise wouldn't. These are not military people. I'm talking about just the civilians. Just the civilians. How many people are going to die because of Biden's choice of abandonment? Right? So it's murder if you actively kill someone. Chop, chop. Isn't it also murder if you withhold the assistance that's needed? Incredible, folks. Richard Collard checks in with a $5 super chat. He says, I am under fire at work, but there are people out there fighting. Think medical. You can get the right treatment if you look. Healthcare has been a big issue for the last 18 months, as you all know. And so, yeah, make sure you have the right insurance. It's very important. But yeah, there's a lot of people under fire, folks. I know people personally that are extremely pissed off. One of them is in New Mexico. And New Mexico, I got news reports out of New Mexico. They're protesting, saying, hey, aren't medical workers heroes? Don't we have rights? And it's incredible how either the government has authority and the right, or the people have authority over themselves, as well as authority over government. They've got the shoe on the other foot. Now government thinks that it can tell everyone what to do and that it owns us all. Incredible. Folks, we're up at 938 people live right now at this very second. That's incredible. That is more than Joe Biden gets on the White House YouTube channel live at any one second. Absolutely stunning. I'd love to tap 1,000. And that means something. The best we've ever had, it was, I think, 2,200. It was an incredible night. But yeah, we're almost at 1,000 right now. But yeah, I tell you, Christine Bahana checks in with a $5 super chat donation. She says, disaster unfolding in Tennessee. Historic flooding. 22 dead as of now. Many people missing. Absolute tragedy, folks. Absolute tragedy. You know, where's Biden at? Where's the president at? Where is the Federal Emergency Management Agency? Where? Right? These people are absent. Are they all at Nancy Pance's fundraiser meeting in California? Are they at Barack Hussein, Barry Soetoro, Obama's party tent, partying it up? Right now, I do know for a fact, Christine Bihana, I do know for a fact that people are good. I don't believe government is good, but I do believe that people are good, and that there are people in Tennessee and the surrounding states and even further away, because I know you're further away. You're up north there. People are willing to volunteer to send help, and I strongly recommend sending help. The same thing happened during Hurricane Katrina, and all other hurricanes and natural disasters that occur around the country. American people are good. They're generous. They have big hearts. Isn't it amazing how government that takes our money seems so irresponsible and to not even care? In fact, they seem to allow tragedy to occur as a form of punishment, just like all of those cities that were burning, and mayors and governors called off the police, told them to stand down, not to stop the arson, looting, murder. Nope, just leave them alone and then let them out. Even Vice President laughing at tragedy in Afghanistan, Kamala Harris, she posted bail. She made sure those criminals got out, and then inspired them more by saying, you shouldn't stop what you're doing. She encouraged felony criminal acts. That's called mayhem. That's supporting, right? It's just incredible, folks. So hopefully, Christine, thank you for letting everyone know. If you can help out in some way, find a way to help out. And Americans are the best people on the planet when it comes to this. Very generous with their time, with their resources. Crazy stuff. Frankie Rios with the 754 donation. Thank you, Frankie. Says this, hey, John, everyone is giving Trump a pass. I am not. Owen will be the next DC victim behind him. Where is the ex-coward in chief? I don't give anyone a pass, but I also like to give credit where credit is due. I don't know if I could have done any better of a job than President Trump did, because he's skilled at what he did. He got a lot done. He also got played by everybody within his own cabinet, within the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, within FBI. He got played. The CIA played the president as well as Congress. That's right. The CIA and FBI played Congress, stonewalled them, refused to obey. It's incredible, folks. But now when you ask about the ex-coward in chief, are we talking about the ex-coward in chief? Are we talking about Mike Pence? Because that's kind of the guy that I think of as the coward in chief, because he was in a position to use his authority that lawfully existed. That was an opportunity for him to make it right, and he turned on the American people. I wish everyone in DC understood what we understand, that they experience what we, the people, experience. But they sit in their lofty ivory towers and pretend to empathize with us. And they really have no idea. They have no idea the frustration that Americans feel. It is incredible. They have no idea. Pence thinks that he's a good guy, and he's going to fundraisers and trying to show up, trying to make America believe that he should be the next commander in chief, right? At least run as the candidate. It's not going to get better, Frankie and everyone. It's not going to get better. These people are idiots, absolute idiots, and it's rough. It is not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. I would not want to be under the pressure that Trump was under. His son, Barron, was being threatened constantly. I have no idea what other threats were made towards his wife, Melania, towards himself, his other sons and daughters. Who knows what threats that were overt and covert were being made. And I thought I'm not going to make excuses, nor will I excuse him, but I do understand the situation. I think he did not understand how bad things were in Washington until he got there, attempted to utilize his authority and power, and then discovered that it evaporated like steam out of a tea kettle on high. But he went in talking about, if you remember, President Trump went into office talking about entitlements, benefits, and he left office talking about freedom and liberty. That, I think, speaks volumes. That he realized somewhere in the middle that America is not about giving away other people's property and about taxing people. America is supposed to be about freedom. Let's move on. We got Crazy Uncle with a $5 super chat, and we did top 1,000 viewers live. Bam. Good. Crazy Uncle says this, prepper tip. There's a big difference between stocking and prepping. Stock your cupboards and storage units, but prep your gear for immediate use. Yes. Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, there's prepping is preparation. And that includes everything: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, right? You prepare, you prep, and practice. I think we need to be you need to have your larder, your cupboards full, right? You need to be well provisioned, but you also need to be well practiced. And we talk about that quite often. And it's a big difference. Stocking your cupboards with everyday things and then long-term food storage, prepping for the big move. But it's so much more than just putting food in your cupboards. It's being prepared, the prepared mind. Frankie Rios is back with $5. He says, we brought him to the dance and he abandoned. We the people, not to mention fully recommended Kool-Aid. Yeah, folks. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Kool-Aid. I'm not a big fan of doing tequila shots. In fact, I'm no fan of it at all. And I absolutely refuse to get a shot of tequila. It's hard for me. Hard for me to understand what's going on up there. There were times when he looked like he was on top of the world, President Trump. And there were times when he looks like he was ultimately defeated. We're in big trouble. Who is big enough to play on that level? You know I am not. I may be running for president in 2028, but I'm certainly not ready for 2024. Yeah, to play on that level, the president of the United States, it is not an easy thing because of the massive amounts of power that either are going to support you or oppose you. Right? We can barely, as little people, withstand the pressure of family saying, you need to go get a shot of tequila. Your family can't stand to hear from you that you don't like their Kool-Aid and you're not going to drink it. Right? That's pressure there. Your job, right? Many of us are being told you will not be able to do this job unless, right, you believe our story and drink the Kool-Aid. That's a lot of pressure just on the personal level. Imagine knowing the decisions you made affect everybody. And imagine that people that are supposed to be experts are actually selling you out because they have sold themselves out. Who do you trust? Who do you believe? Now, I really like Dr. Atlas, who worked for President Trump, and I liked what he had to say. I liked what Peter Navarro had to say, who worked for President Trump. Peter Navarro openly defied and went after the little turd ball. Right? It's a mess. As far as I'm concerned, Frankie, Washington, D.C. is a lost cause at this point. I have no confidence in the White House, no confidence in either house in Congress. I have no confidence in the Supreme Court. The best I can hope for there is that we send representatives up there to continue to fight for us, to stall them, to interfere with their further attempts at violating our rights and making our life a living hell. That's the best we can do at this point. and on our personal side, individual side, Frankie, is just prepare. Get prepared, be practiced, prep to action. Really, folks, prep to action. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if there's no fuel? What's your plan? What are you going to do if the store shelves are getting empty? And folks, when store shelves start to get empty, when people start panicking and just clearing a shelf off right into their cart, when someone sees someone doing that, they go, they must know something I don't. And then they start just loading their shopping cart, clearing the shelves. A supermarket can have its shelves cleared in a matter of hours. And in some areas, they go in and they'll do a flash mob. They'll fill shopping carts and just go out the door. They won't even pay for stuff. So what are you going to do if that happens? What are you going to do if your water becomes contaminated in your city, in your county? One, you may not know it's contaminated until it's too late. That's why I recommend using the Berkey water filter, getting one and using it all the time. So I never know when my water something bad could happen to it. Right? Someone goes over to the well cap, pops the cap off, pours a bunch of junk down the well. You don't, right? You don't know. You just don't know. Bad news. Frankie Rios is back again with another $5 super chat. He says, I'll consider this money well spent if you can point me towards 8mm seeds. Woo! I have not bought any 8mm ammunition in, I think, 4 years was the last time I bought a box of it. I tell you, man, it's rough. I know that the ammunition manufacturers have a lot of pressure to do, 7.62x51, 5.56 ammunition. They're doing 9mm. They're doing all of their most popular ammunition rounds, top speed, just trying to get it done, right? 40 cal, 45, 357, 38. And so when you get to something like a 8mm, they tend to think that that's a lower priority because it's considered a hunting round. And so it just doesn't get the attention. That's very similar or kind of supports the idea why I say when it comes to freedom seeds, when it comes to owning self-defense items, I like to own things that take the most commonly available, most readily available sources of ammunition, right? That's why I like the 5.56. One, the platform I have is what I consider to be superior. There's many superior types. Everyone has their opinion, but the availability of the ammo, if someone were to fall down and trip and I walked over and was able to pick up their ammo, there's a good chance it's going to be what I need. So, 8mm is good for, it's kind of like AT&T ammunition. It's good to reach out and touch someone. But when it comes to high volume, fast, heated discussions, you're going to need something else. So if you can hold them off, keep them way out there. That's good. All right, let's move on if we shall, though. We got FJP13 with a $5 super chat donation. He says, John, Donald J. Trump advocation of Kool-Aid last night and getting booed. Your thoughts? My thoughts on that is the people. It was an interesting moment. The people know better. The people know better. Why they're continuing to say that's a good idea is beyond me. The evidence is overwhelming, right? You will not catch me drinking Kool-Aid anymore. Right? You won't catch me drinking grape or cherry or any Kool-Aid of the sort, nor will I drink tequila shots. But yeah, the fact that it was booed, the people know better. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. That's how I take it. Really, what else can you do with the information? We're in big trouble, folks. And I'm seeing a lot of positive response, not coming from supposed leaders and politicians, but from the people themselves. The people are speaking at school boards. They're speaking at the county level. Unfortunately, we don't have a right, we the people, to go to state level, to the legislatures, and tell them what we think, right? We're supposed to just elect people, and they're supposed to do what we want. No, we elect people. They say, oh yeah, I'm all for this, and then they go do whatever the hell they want. They hold town hall meetings supposedly to ask us what we want to know, or to ask us what we think of things, and then they'll take our opinions under advisement. You know, it's and when you hear if you hear a politician saying something you agree with, you're happy about it. And when you hear a politician saying something you disagree with, you're unhappy. It's like, how can you not understand that? But trust me, when 100,000 people all want you to believe their version of events, you're not going to satisfy everybody, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people that think that tequila is just a great idea. But Donald J. Trump, he heard, he learned. They should all hear from us. This is a great way to communicate with leadership. Boo, we don't like that. Then you got to go, why did they boo that? What do they know? What do they believe? Why do they believe that? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Everyone in Washington needs to hear our opinion. And I think they're getting it. And they need to continue to hear it. Phone call, text, email, message, whatever it takes to get a hold of these clowns and say, no more. Right now, I think Congress is aren't they in recess? Break, summer break, whatever the fuck they're calling it. Basically they want to do fundraising. They need to start campaigning, but yeah, they should be hearing from us as well, and not being allowed to weasel out, right? Anyways, we got Byaxo with a $9.99 super chat. He says, just saw a news story where a bunch of Australians returned to Perth from Afghanistan. I wonder if they will see how things are at home compared to where they just left. Keep up the good work, John. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be an interesting comparison. In Kabul, you can't travel where you want. In Australia, you can't travel at all. Lockdown. In Kabul, if you violate the rules, the Taliban might find you. And who knows what the punishment will be. In Australia, if you violate the rules, the police may find you, and who knows what they'll do as a punishment. In the United States of America, in Washington, D.C., if you open a door or walk through a door that is already open on public property, you could be charged with a federal trespassing crime, thrown in prison for over 6 months, be essentially psychologically tortured, some people beaten, malnourished, right? Put in unsanitary conditions and abused in all ways. Hey, is the Taliban all that bad, folks, after all? Might want to ask that question. We got Red Pill Files. He says, 556 donation, John. He says, I read Glenn Beck raised $2 million in donations to send to Afghanistan to help get Americans out. Not sure what to make of this. Okay, I don't know what to make of it either. I'm glad that they're raising money to help. Like I said, American people and many people around the world are incredibly generous. But the Kabul International Airport is essentially controlled by the U.S. military. It's my understanding there's Army soldiers and Marines there. That's my understanding. It's controlled by the military. So even if you could charter a plane using this money Glenn Beck has raised, you can't just fly into any airport, especially Kabul. But maybe they can make arrangements with the military and land some privately chartered planes with this. What I do make of it, when you say, what do you make of this? I think it's excellent that he's trying. I don't know how he's going to administrate that effort, but it goes to show how good the people are and how heartless and gutless Joe Biden and his administration is. They're gutless. They are absolute abject turds. I mean, how many times do we have to read? They don't care. There's a time limit to get out. You're on your own. They're arguing with each other in front of microphones in Washington, D.C., Biden and his own people over whether or not people need to be helped. They're being beaten or not. They're being abused or not. They can't get their story straight. It's incredible. What it shows, Glenn Beck raising this money, is the confidence that we, the people, have or should have in Washington, D.C. is absent. Absent. It's fucking absent. It's a vote of no confidence. It's like those bastards up there won't help American citizens that they abandoned in a country, in a city that's now being run by murderous thugs who are killing women, killing men, executing them in the streets. Folks, Taliban took 20 children, took them hostage and said, hey, fathers of these children, you've got 4 hours to surrender to us or we'll kill your children. Is that the type of person that can be negotiated with? That can be reasoned with? Do you think common sense appeals to that person the same way it would appeal to me or you? No, not at all. But that's how these people think. That's how the Taliban thinks. Well, if we can't get those fathers, we'll just kill these children. Our government, for some reason in DC, says we can't seem to find Antifa and BLM having committed heinous, violent, felonious crimes in America. Burning, looting, murdering, assaulting police, attempting to murder police by burning police stations, attempting to murder federal workers by setting fire to federal buildings. They can't seem to find criminality there to the extent that is plainly obvious. But they can see regular law-abiding, tax-paying citizens who want to criticize the government, see us, me, you, people like me, people like you, see us as domestic violent extremists, DVEs, that we're white supremacists. Incredible. And even if you're black, you can still be a white supremacist. Just like the gubernatorial candidate for the state of California. The man happens to be black. And they're calling him the black face of white racism. Unbelievable. But you better believe it, folks. They're this sick. All right, we've got Damian English with a $25 super chat. Thank you, Damian. Great, great, great super chat. Your super chats, folks, pay the bills. Keep the lights on. Keep us doing what we're doing. And there's an awful lot of research. I want to thank John. I want to thank Mr. Skylight. I want to thank everybody, Leanne, everybody behind the scenes who are providing information, and it's too much. It is too many names to name and too much information to share. It's crazy, but we'll keep doing this. So this is what Damien has to say. He says, the Taliban repeats history, confiscating guns. Biden was on vacation. Price of freight skyrockets to $33,000 per shipping container. Mask mandates are coming back. I don't know, John. The pen doesn't seem to be working. Well spoken, sir. Yes. He refers to the pen being mightier than the sword. This is where that has failed. In a civil society, as in civilized, where people treat each other with respect, where debate is allowed, free speech, where intelligent thought and discourse exists. Well, we don't have intelligent thought because people going to college now are not being educated. They're not being taught how to think. They're being indoctrinated. We're not allowed free speech because big tech, big social media are silencing us and saying, we know better and we know what you can and can't talk about. They've taken that from us. They're even trying to make it illegal to criticize bureaucrats and criticize elected officials. They would love that. And so they're taking away the civility And that's where the pen worked. In a civil world where people thought and could talk, you could write a letter and it mattered. You could publish a story and it had an effect. Right? If I published a story and everyone was able to read it without me being silenced or them being blinded to the fact that there's information available, then the pen would be mightier than the sword. And the old saying was, never get into an argument with somebody who buys ink by the barrel, the printing press. We have an electronic printing press right here in front of me. Me and you, we can communicate with the world instantaneously, live. We're doing it right now. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Yet, me and you are being silenced. We're being hidden, and that's why you have to share, by the way. Share videos. We're being silenced. Our ink is being dried up, and it blows in the wind. We're not allowed to speak. And then we're being attacked by people who just want us shut up. They want to scare you. So when Damien says the pen doesn't seem to be working, it's because the apparatus, the functioning of civil society, the way civilization is supposed to work, when it ceases to function, yeah, the pen fails. And that leaves us with that other thing, the pen being mightier than the sword. Well, if the pen fails, then all that's left to debate with is the sword. Well spoken, sir. Thank you for bringing that up. Dude seriously checks in with a $5 super chat. He says, some people just won't want to accept logic. Don't get yourself beat up because of it. Get creative with spreading the truth peacefully. We've got to do our very best, folks. Some people are diplomats and they can phrase things very well. Some people are very abrasive, right? And they can shock people into hearing what they have to say. We all have a role to play. Whatever your role is, start working on it. Get out there. I met a very interesting character this weekend who basically wants to be the Prepared Mind channel. And I said, look, I can help you get started. I could probably have you travel up to where I'm at and come in studio and watch how it's done and help you get started. There's a lot of people that want to speak to this, folks, that want to speak peacefully. But as we just covered, they're taking our peaceful means and methods. But there's other ways, right? At work. Now, a lot of people are like, yeah, dude, I'm not gonna say anything at work. I could lose my job. There's people losing their jobs for not speaking up. It's a point that's, I think, very fine. So it's basically walking a razor's edge, right? If you say something, you could get fired. If you don't say something, you can get fired. When employees stand up as a group and say, no, hell no, no, we're not going to do it. No, 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 and no, and we'll quit. And the company's like, well, maybe we'll take that back. So by speaking up, they have saved their job. Family members. I spoke with someone today whose son, and there's lots of people I know, folks, that have sons that have gotten the jab, daughters that have gotten the jab. And it's like, you know, what can you do? All you can do is keep trying to communicate to people. But there are harder times coming. Anyways, thank you very much, Damien. Let's see. Yeah, the pen doesn't seem to be working. Let's do what we can. And then we had we got a lot of super chats going. We are, by the way, at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I love going to 2 hours as long as there's questions coming in. I will stay live. I think our world record is 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And one time we did a long show, and then Uman came on with me. we ended up getting lit up and just talking for several more hours. Anyways, we have well over 1,000. In fact, 1,066 people live right now wasn't Hastings 1066? That number seems very familiar. Alrighty, we got Crazy Uncle checks in with a $5 super chat donation. And yes, folks, I am wearing a shirt with my own face on it. I love wearing this one in public too. It makes people go, why are you wearing a shirt with your own face on it? I say, do you think Bill Ford drives a Ford or a Chevy? And they just go, yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so Crazy Uncle says, I'm not worried about China due to the fact that without full access to the ocean, they will not have enough to feed their population. Flooded crops. Yeah, China had huge flooding. I mean, there was a lot of worry about that dam breaking they have. There's so many problems in China. The world is in big trouble, folks. They're telling us, and I'm hearing that in England, the government is not going to subsidize crops. They're going to tell farmers don't plant. And many people are anticipating food shortages in the coming years, not next year or the year after, but the coming years. And it's going to get nasty. As a prepper, you have put yourself in a position not only to save buying more expensive food because you bought it this year, last year, the year before, and food stores a long time. And if you're not getting long-term food storage, you just rotate. Eat that food you bought 2 years ago. You buy food to replace it, put it on the shelf, but you're saving money. It's an investment. It's an investment monetarily because of the price. We're dealing with super inflationary issues right now. But the whole world is having problems from food production to food processing, distribution. What happens if the power goes out, folks? The Department of Energy, the Secretary of Energy, the Department of Energy says, hey, yeah, expect there to be power outages. Well, so far in the United States, some places yes, other places no. Does she mean next winter? But when power goes out, food cannot be stored. It's not already done, right? Food spoils. There's just a lot of what ifs that are out there. Not trying to scare anybody, just trying to say get prepared. Get prepared, because there are a lot of what ifs out there. If China, see, I don't believe the warfare that we're going to be dealing with, World War III, is going to be fought with computer strokes. Probably more so than with bullets. And knowing that, understand how the games are being played, you can be prepared. I'm not concerned about China. I'm concerned about the people 2 blocks over, or 3 blocks over, or 6 blocks over. I'm concerned about those people more than I am China. Doesn't mean China's not a threat and China's not a problem. It just means what's a bigger issue. Let's move on with this. We got Florida. Hey, haven't heard from Florida in quite a while. That's PHLORYDA. $10 super chat. And it looks like he's got a membership. Florida is a YouTube member of the Prepared Mind. He says, all the bad military moves in the last few months, military industrial complex making up for lost time, or is it the Biden? It is everything. Now, what he's referring to is all of the brand new equipment that was flown over, transported, stored, stockpiled in Afghanistan now belongs to the Taliban. One of the questions we like to ask is, who benefits? Who benefits? Well, the military industrial complex, that is manufacturers who make all of this military equipment. They get the contracts, they make their money, they ship their stuff over there. And so, yeah, they benefit from the war effort. And then the Taliban benefits from the effort because they get all of this stuff. They get all this military equipment provided at U.S. taxpayer expense, including, additionally, they get the country of Afghanistan handed to them. Now, how does Biden benefit? How does the big guy get his 10%? me let you think about that a minute. Prior to the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, they produced poppies that were used to create opiates. After the U.S. invaded Afghanistan, the amount of opium poppies that were being planted was increased. So there was more heroin to make it into the world market. The Taliban is back in control again, and they're going to control these even larger fields of poppy. And I wonder if the big guy is going to get his percentage. My belief, folks, that the war on drugs back started at the in the Bush administration, 1988 to 92, that Bush. His war on drugs was not about stopping drugs, but rather controlling who gets to supply the drugs. In other words, it seems like the people in charge tend to want to get their cut. Now, everyone, including, was it, I can't remember her name. She was the old lady who has been a member of the press and the White House press corps forever. If someone can remember her name, that'd be great. But she actually asked the White House press secretary during the Clinton administration about Mena, Arkansas, and cocaine being transported in. And she got a straight answer, right? That Mena, Arkansas was part of the drug cocaine delivery system through the CIA. It was very fascinating stuff. Can't remember her name. She's probably long since passed away, since it's about 30 years ago. But incredible. And the whole world seems to be absolutely blindly ignorant to the fact that governments benefit, key bono, governments benefit from illegal drugs. We do have a drug enforcement agency that is supposed to stop this, but then we hear about the CIA using drugs, right, to fund their enterprises. It's just incredible, folks. It's incredible. We got Mr. Skylight checks in with a $99.99 super chat donation. He says, "Love you, bro. I tell you what, I love you too, man. I love everyone here because we're sharing information. We're putting out different opinions and thoughts. And I want people to have elastic minds. We can come up with conclusions, come to conclusions, make a decision, think about things a certain way. But I like to think about everything again. If more information comes available, I should be able to say, well, that was my opinion then, but let's add this information, see where we go with it. Right now, and Trump is one of those things. We had the questions come up on President Trump. You know, why did he bring up Kool-Aid and promote it, and then he got booed? Hey, well, there's some information here we need to think about. Does that make him a bad guy, a good guy? Did he do it on purpose? Did he want the world to hear boos over the topic? But still, regardless, it's not like I can actually come out and talk about the topic, the subject matter, because no one's allowed to even discuss it. What a fucking racket. An absolute racket that little dweebs like Zark Muckerberg and Sorge Goros and Gil Bates and Beth Jesus, that these clowns, I'll just say his name, Dorsey's a fucking idiot. It's just incredible, folks, that they get to tell us the best way to think and be. Absolutely stunning. It has hit the fan, folks. Shit has hit the fan. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, for the excellent super chat donation. Pow. It goes a long way. If there's one thing I can do, I can pinch a penny and make Abraham Lincoln scream. All right, we've got Thomas, and I'll keep your last name private, sent a $10 super chat donation through PayPal. Thank you very much, Thomas. He doesn't have a question there, but it was received. And we, folks, we're doing all we can to get information out. The best way, though, for you is to be a patreon.com member. I mean, you definitely subscribe to all the Prepared Mind channels on YouTube, but on Patreon, you're going to get the videos when they're created. You get live interaction Monday through Friday. You get all of the news links. You get videos on topics I can't talk about, but they are researched. They're sought out. They're done by experts, professionals who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. And so we love to put that up on Patreon. And it's the only place we can put it. Talk to Jolene. We can't put that stuff on Facebook. It'll get nixed. Can't put it on Instagram. It'll get nixed. We can't put it on Twitter. It'll get nixed, but we can put it on Patreon, which is terrific. You know, but there's so many news articles and stories out there. I don't want to flood everyone with it, but if you want information, we'll get it to you. We'll get it to you. All right, we got Frankie Rios back. And thank you again, Frankie, for the great donation. $5 super chat. Frankie's a great person, folks, making us think. He says, it's not Donald J. Trump just looking for accountability from all supposed leaders. And this is, again, a terrific point. And then he does a 2-2-3 for Pence too. Yeah, I all elected. Well, see, they're. I hate to use the word leaders, but they used to, when you would elect somebody, they would take positions and lead, right? I hate calling them officials. It's a title. It's an honor to be. It's positive, right? Leadership. These people aren't leading anything. All they're doing is being led to their bank account by their contributors who want to give them money, but they're not leading the country, and that is the problem, right? I do like, folks, just because she's feisty as hell. I like Big Marge out of Georgia, Republican, Congresswoman, first term, but you know, she's battling and taking arrows and throwing shit around. She's fighting, right? Now she and Matt Getz and several others went to the DC prison and said, hey, what's going on with these prisoners? Weren't allowed in, were kept out, but we haven't heard about it since. What the fuck are they doing, right? Leaders accept responsibility. Leaders take action. Leaders aren't perfect. I understand that, but they do all they can to help. Where is all the help? Where's all the help? Now, there has been a call, folks, from Republicans in Congress saying we need to impeach Joe Biden. We're going to get more, and this is the problem with that is, well, one, they don't have the votes to impeach. They don't have the votes to convict in the Senate. Is that a waste of time? Well, I don't know, because Congress can't seem to do anything else right, so they may as well do something that is inconsequential to us in a negative fashion, because any legislation they seem to pass in Washington always seems to come back and bite us in the ass, or at the very least, bite us in the wallet. But yeah, where are these leaders? They are very deserving of and have earned our criticism, including Donald J. Trump. Did a great job, as good a job. I mean, all things considered, did a great job. But there's just so much fucking wrong with the system. Shit hit the fan, folks, under Donald J. Trump, President Trump. But he's now speaking about freedom. That's a good thing. He wants to talk good things about the Kool-Aid. People boo it. People know better. I don't know. Well, all I know is shit has hit the fan. It's not going to get better. We're being threatened with all manner of lockdown and masks, etc. There's fighting at every level. And I think that the powers that be, not elected officials, not bureaucrats, not leaders, not officials, I think that they want this chaos. And I think I said this the other day. There's that whole New World Order thing, right? I'll say it in English. Order out of chaos, right? This is this Illuminati branded slogan. Well, in order to make order out of chaos, you have to have chaos in the first place. So you make chaos out of your order. In other words, you destroy the country. Chaos is made out of our order. our constitutional order, law and order. And they create chaos. Once they have the chaos, now they can rebuild, restructure, recreate a system of administration, if you will, or government that suits them, the powers that be. That's why they're so busy trying to destroy statues, erase American history, deny the goodness of the model we have now. And what are they going to propose in its stead? Garbage, folks. Garbage. That's what they're going to propose. All right, we've got Kelly checking in with a super chat donation. This is Kelly. Yes, it's me, aka Water Trucks, with a $5 super chat. It says, "Hi, John. How are they really going to know who really drank Kool-Aid when it's taken weeks to audit one county in the Southwest, Semper Paratus and Fidelis?" Here's the deal. The tax audit that was done was very comprehensive and required a lot of different ways to check the veracity of the tax forms that were submitted by the people. And when it comes to whether or not you've gone and gotten your tequila shot, you can prove it with a card, and they're keeping records with their computers. When the government wants something to be done proficiently, they tend to be better at it when they don't give a shit. Right? The controls on this demand on the people is extreme. It's absolutely extreme. The controls they want over our lives. So they're going to put a very strong system in place to figure it out. I'm not saying they're going to do it right. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm just saying they're going to put a lot more effort into it. They're making notes. How they consolidate this information or this database of names, addresses, phone numbers, and their medical history, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that if I go to put my name and birth date and sign up for say an email address, if I don't put in the proper birth date, it rejects me, because there's enough of my information out there through these database systems that says, no, John's birthday is in March, not in February, so this is not that guy, right? Or this isn't the right address. So I mean, they can be very efficient or proficient with their database systems. Now, what happens if someone knocks on your door and they say, "Hey, we're here, we're handing out free ice cream pops and Kool-Aid," and you say, "Hey, look, I've already gotten the Kool-Aid." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, where's your card? It says you got an ice cream sandwich and the Kool-Aid." And you say, "Well, I threw it away. I lost it. My dog ate it." And they say, "Well, if you've already had it once, then you wouldn't object to having another ice cream bar and a tequila shot." Really, what's your answer then? You know, and what if they knock and you answer the door and they say, "We're here to give you some ice cream and some tequila." And they say, "We know you haven't had any yet." And you say, "Oh yeah, I do. I've got this card right here. It says I got my ice cream sandwich already." Right? 1, 2, ice cream in the middle, ice cream sandwich. Ice cream sandwich. And they say, "Well, our records indicate you don't, so we think that you've committed a crime. You've got a false card. You've got a lie in your hands." It's incredible, folks. And so you can't fake it. We're coming to that point, folks. They're pushing it that hard. And I'm not a big fan of ice cream sandwiches. 1, 2, not doing it, right? So the audit. Now I do know what you're saying, though, Kelly. The audit. It took weeks. No, it took months. It's taken 18 months to get from where shit has hit the fan, pandemic worldwide, to where they're just now saying we're going to mandate it, and we're going to lock you down, and you're going to wear masks, and you're going to social distance. You're going to stay in your house. You're not going to talk to other people. You're not going to be allowed to talk to other people. We're going to silence everyone. In 18 months, folks, this is how far they've gotten from a time when you could say whatever the fuck you wanted, and nobody had a right to your medical records, and no one was going to tell you what to do. In fact, there were people with their little pink pussy hats out there screaming, "My body, my choice, my body, my choice." Where the fuck are they now? It's your body, and you're going to do what we say. You know, where are the pink pussy hats? My body, my choice. We went from that to, you need to get your tequila shot now. And people are stupid enough to say, well, I got, you know, people are dying because what? They don't have an answer, folks. They just want to scream, get it. Anyways, thank you very much, Kelly. There's going to be mistakes left and right. Absolutely mistakes left and right. Who didn't, who did, who has, who hasn't, who's going to get it, who's not going to get it, who's going to say over my dead body and mean it. And when that day happens, folks, number one, I won't be happy about it. Number two, I won't be surprised by it. Number three, I'll be ready for that day. We all will, because we are preppers. All right. We're past the 90-minute mark, past an hour and a half. Let's see what else we got out there. Jolene, and I want to thank Jolene and the moderators, Uman, if Kaz is out there. Thank you guys very much for all your support, your effort, your help. There's so much that's done behind the scenes, folks. Conversations all day long, messages, everything. We got Damian English back in with another $5 super chat donation. He says, question, Biden doesn't want us to have 9mm guns or 5.56, but then gives them to our enemy. Think this is all planned? Yes. Yeah. I think they are mutually exclusive, though. It does. The point is salient, though, right? Let's see. The U.S. government, or at least the Democrats, the leadership at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the left-wing liberal commie scumbags do not want us to have any firearms in this country, because peace-loving Americans shouldn't have guns. Peaceful Americans who don't commit acts of terror shouldn't have guns. Peaceful Americans who don't commit crimes but are really good at stopping crime when they have guns shouldn't have guns. Now, juxtapose that to what is going on in Afghanistan. People that are terrorists that love to use guns to commit all acts of horror, atrocity, and crime against fellow man, the Taliban. Our government gives them an incredible supply of rifles, handguns, I suppose, maybe shotguns, ammunition, grenades, explosives. We aren't even allowed to have explosives here. The government gives it away over there. And they're not giving it to the peace-loving people of Afghanistan. They're not giving it to the law-abiding citizens of Afghanistan. They're not giving it to the tax-paying citizens of Afghanistan. They're giving it to the fucking thugs, the criminals, the scum that murder women, that hold children hostage, and who knows if they've killed them or not. Men who take police and military officers, line them up, and kill them at a cricket field in front of the world. And they film it, and then they distribute it through their social media networks, which they're allowed to have. Unlike the lawfully elected Afghan officials who have now been silenced, and then people like President Donald J. Trump, who have been silenced by big media because, you know, he says things that are misinformation. No, well, I mean, yeah, he's not allowed to say anything, whether it's misinformation or not. But they can have someone like the Taliban, the group of the Taliban, all of the Taliban people. They get social media. Credible, credible, credible. All right, we got Strong Back Manufacturing. Whoa, he's back in the house. $10 super chat donation. He says, John, are e-bikes a good bug out vehicle? I am going to answer this question, and I have ridden on an e-bike. I'm going to say that e-bikes are a superb bug out vehicle. Now, there's a difference between bugging out and maybe bunkering out, where you go from where you're at with a truckload of supplies out to your bunker in the country, or your bunker at the lake, or your bunker in the desert, or whatever. The idea of bugging out is put on your bug out bag. It's got 3 or 5 days worth of food, and you get the hell out of the area you're in, because it's a shithole firestorm of Mad Max craziness. Okay, so you bug out. Now, on foot, you can do 10 miles a day. On foot, 10 miles a day. E-bikes do 20 miles an hour. Okay, maybe with a full, like a 50-pound backpack, if you've got an e-bike, maybe you're only going to do 10 miles an hour. Still, you can do in 1 hour what a regular person can do in a day. And by what I mean by a day, a human being could do a lot more miles a day, except you have to stop, eat, drink, take a leak, rest, recover, change socks. Got to take good care of your feet, folks. So e-bike would be a much faster way to get out. Now, some people go, I'll just bug out in my car. Well, we saw what happened in Afghanistan, in Kabul. People were trying to bug out of the city, to get out of the city in any way, just get the fuck out. They don't have another place to go, or maybe they do, other family that they can go into other cities. But gridlock, cars just piled up in intersections and you can't get through. They're stuck. E-bike, or a bicycle, period, can weave in and out of traffic, go up on sidewalks, go across grass. Some of the e-bikes have the large 4-inch wide tires, the cruiser tires that are great for going over rough terrain. And so, yeah, you can make good time, get good distance, take alternative routes. But it's going to be that type of situation like they had in Afghanistan. There's going to be people that are going to be, they're going to be like, hey, that's a hell of a good idea as you drive by. There's going to be people that are going to be like, that motherfucker, I'll kill him if I get a chance. And there's going to be people that see you coming and they're going to want to steal your bike. Who knows what, But I'm sure a guy with an AR-14, right, Joe? Coming down the road with an e-bike is going to have less trouble than a guy who doesn't have an AR-14, right, Joe? But yeah, it's a great question. Now let's just assume you live in a lightly populated area, and you've got, say, a bug out location that's already stocked with food and water and all the supplies you need, and it's 30 miles from where you live. And all you have to do is get from where you're at to your bug out location or bug out bunker. Everything's already there. All you have to do is get from here to there, while everyone is having a lot of chaos. Yeah, getting on an e-bike, that does 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, you're going to be there very quickly, even if you have to take an alternative route. Bicycle's good. E-bikes go faster, and they don't run out of energy the way we do as human beings. So I have to say, yeah, e-bike is a good bug out vehicle. It is another option. They're very expensive, folks. You'll spend anywhere from $500 to $5,000 for an e-bike, depending on the power, the model, etc. But they're really impressive, and they're also all made in China. I think the best you would hope for is it's assembled in the United States of America. But yeah, and so getting them has become, it's my understanding, very difficult to get them because of supply line issues, not only for the completed bicycles, but for just components. Right? They don't have the components to complete them in China, so they don't ship them. So yeah, everything is going to become more scarce and more expensive. Let's move on to Ray Drake with a 762 super chat donation. So Ray has this to say: they left all the arms for the terrorists for a reason. What's your thoughts? I believe it was part of the deal. I think that what the Biden administration said was, look, we're going to leave, but we want you to allow us to have time to leave safely. And that's where that whole, what is it, September, I don't believe it was September 11th. They had till September the 4th to get out. the military, and that the Taliban would not attack the military and the people at the airport. I think the government, someone in the US government, criticized the Taliban for putting up obstructions, roadblocks, making it difficult for people to get to the airport, get into the airport. But be that as it may, right? Well, no, let me finish that thought. So that was a bribe. This equipment that was flown over, staged, and allowed for the Taliban to take control of was part of the payment the government made to facilitate the evacuation of military and civilian personnel. But the Taliban rolled in, and they said much quicker than they anticipated, meaning they may have said we won't take over, but they did. They came in and did what they wanted. They may have said that they weren't going to be killing people, more specifically Americans, but they are doing what Taliban and terrorists do. They're terrorizing people. And so the government's very upset with them. But they're still trying to get people out, get out Americans, get out other people who are get a death sentence. Death sentence. It is incredible. Plus it is a fucking fiasco. It is an incredible clusterfuck. If there was ever a situation to describe using the word clusterfuck, the Kabul International Airport is it. That is a complete clusterfuck, and it's costing lives. And yeah, the Taliban is supposed to accept, well, here's your country, and here's a bunch of military stuff. You guys just give us a chance to get out of here. That's what that was all about. That's my thoughts on it. That's how I see it. The Biden administration made a deal. It was poorly thought out. The Secretary of Defense, the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff are all just a bunch of asshats. They don't know how many Americans are there. They don't have the infrastructure, real infrastructure, not social media infrastructure, not social worker infrastructure, real infrastructure for flying in the planes and taking them elsewhere in the world so that they can be housed and taken care of. They made absolutely no provisions for that. Yeah, if you evacuate, let's say 30,000 Americans back to America, yeah, that's where they're from. They're from here. They're Americans and they can live here, right? But what about, how many Afghanis are going to be evacuated? 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, a million? Where are they going to go? Well, obviously they need to go to Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco, New York City, Philadelphia, because we have all of that vacant commercial property because businesses don't want to go back and open up. Those cities are going to be ghost towns, folks. All right, we got Frankie Rios with a $5 super chat donation. He says, something fishy going on in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Some entity looking to purchase 21 properties at once. BlackRock? There is an awful lot of suspicious fascist deal making going on, from Afghanistan to, shall we say, farmland that is being bought up at just incredible rates by Bill Gates. He's the biggest ranch or farm landowner in the country, Bill Gates, right? Yeah, and there is right now a huge wealth transfer. Now, let's say a company like BlackRock, huge investment firm. Let's say they buy a bunch of property, natural resources, what have you. And next year, the stock value drops. People are scared. They sell it off, right? And all of that investment money gets transferred to someone else. People are being screwed out of their money. And the actual valuable things, the land, the resources, are going to be bought up by those who are continuing to get money. And the government is busy printing electronic dollars and giving it to all their buddies. They keep bailing out the banks and bailing out the finance companies. The The overnight repo market, which failed back in September of 2019, folks. It's 2021, almost September of 2021. Basically 2 years ago, the entire financial system failed. And the government started buying its own, you could say buying its own shit, right? Buying its own debt. When a government starts buying its own debt because, well, Russia, China, and other countries are selling their bonds, they're not investing in America anymore. We've got huge problems, folks. Huge problems. We got Shelly Chavers with a $10 super sticker, and we're still up at 1,044 people live right now. And I want to salute all of you. Get your favorite water, whatever it may be, ready. Folks, the men, the women that were involved in the revolutionary effort, 1776 onward, they experienced it, folks. Whether they're famous or not, men, women, and children back then, through the 1760s, the 1770s, the 1780s, they experienced tyranny. They experienced it firsthand. We think about the heroes, the names like Ben Franklin or George Washington or Sam Adams or John Paul Jones or name the people, name them. Right? We heard about foreigners like von Steuben, Lafayette. We heard about people who helped America, right? But everybody suffered. Everybody suffered. Not just the heroes, not just the important people, not just the Ethan Allens, not just the Benedict Arnolds, who became the greatest hero, became the greatest traitor. We're going to see the same things, folks. History rhymes and history repeats. And it looks like you and I are going to get to share the same flavor shit sandwich that they had back then. And it's going to suck. It's coming. It is coming. The government's not quitting. The stupid is not going away. Absolute. Red Pill Files with a 556 donation says, New York Times yesterday. Here's the quote. The FDA is claiming to give full approval to Kool-Aid on Monday. No public discussion of data. I do have to be very careful, and I think that your question is well received and well understood. The government has no right to mandate anything, whether it's approved or not. They have no authority for it. Now, the same would be, let's just say, the sheriff. He's been elected by the people, the sheriff of Kern County. Sheriff of Kern County has been elected by the people. Can he go to the bank and say, look, I am an elected official. I'm a very important person, and I am in charge of the law around here. So I want you to put $1 million cash in a suitcase and hand it to me. Well, he has a badge. He has a gun. He is elected. But does he have the authority to do what is demanded? Does he have the authority to say, hey, look, right, you're going to give me all your money, bank. I have a gun, I have a badge, and I've been elected. The answer is no. They don't have that authority. That is a fraud. It's done under the color of law or the appearance, right? Color of law means it looks like. It's colored with the appearance, right? This guy's got a badge and a uniform, and that's the guy that got elected, so we should do what he says. No, right? That's criminal. Do they have the right to mandate anything? The answer is no. Have they now, even let's just assume that they do have the right to mandate things. In order to mandate what they are claiming they have a right to mandate, there has to be sufficient evidence that is demonstrably true, provable. It has to be this is what just kills me. It absolutely kills me. There is actually ways to do things in government, right? Everyone has heard, I hope you've heard about the Nuremberg rules. It has become very popular to discuss them the last couple of months, especially. As the hysteria has ratcheted up over mandates, the referral to the Nuremberg rules having to do with full disclosure, experimentation, people's rights, how wrong or illegal it is to coerce, use duress, fraud to convince people they don't have a right to object. All of these things are in play. So if they were to claim, hey, look, we can do whatever we want because, right, it's accepted now. Well, I don't think the FDA is going to demonstrate that they have the information. We'll find out. We're going to find out what they say. None of this, and this is, I think, what's important is I'm going to go down swinging, folks. I talked to a very interesting person today, has nothing to do with prepping, nothing to do with the military, nothing to do with anything prepared mind, except sharing a conversation with me. It was like, I'm not doing it. There is nothing, this person's not in medicine, right? They're no medical expert, but they're not going to do it. There is nothing that can be done to them. They choose death, folks. And this is something, like I said, someone who is not a history buff, doesn't quote patriots or patriarchs. This said, no, I'm not doing it, right? In other words, this person, through their own thinking and their own life experiences, was saying, my liberty is more important than my life. I'm going to go down swinging. This person doesn't even have a firearm that I'm talking about. Or if they do, they didn't tell me, which is perfectly fine. Operational security being what it is, and this person being very, very smart, very interesting stuff, is look, they can't make you do shit. All they can do is convince you to allow them to force you. Now, that doesn't mean that like 10 guys couldn't tackle me on the street, hold me down, and say, John, you really need this tequila shot, and pour it down my throat. I mean, they can do that, but that is an act of, as far as I'm concerned, a complete and total violation of all of my rights. My right to life, liberty, my pursuit of happiness, violated. My right to freedom from restraint, violated. My right to due process, violated. Like, I haven't committed a crime. That is an act of war on an individual basis. That's how I see these mandates. They're an act of war. Because that is what war is about. It's about defeating your enemy, taking their rights away from them. We got Strong Back Manufacturing back with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Strong Back. You're the man. And we'll need to talk more about e-bikes. I'd like to hear what you have to think. You have back channel capability, brother. Use it. All right, everybody. We got Strong Back Manufacturing again. He says, great show. The Prepared Mind crew rocks. I can't help but agree with that. It really is. It's a great crew. We are at the 2-hour mark, folks. And Rooster Cogburn checks in with a 556 super chat donation. And this is what he says. Hoorah, Jonathan. What are some of the best year vehicles to resist an EMP? I've had trouble only recently finding parts for my 1985 pickup. Everyone, oh, by the way, is having a hard time getting automotive parts. Now, a lot of parts like starters and alternators, some of these solid state things like that, they are manufactured and then also remanufactured here in the United States. They'll take an old one, like a core, and rebuild it, put it back together, and sell it as a rebuilt part. There's other parts that are electronic or are manufactured in China because they're cheaply made in China. Anything from computer chips to wiring harnesses to filters, covers, gaskets, carburetor. If you got a carburetor part, right? When you say what is the best year vehicle to resist an EMP, my opinion on that is a fully mechanical diesel. Meaning a non-computer controlled diesel engined vehicle. Next or second to that would be a carbureted or naturally aspirated gasoline engine. So you're going back to the early 80s and before. And that's just when the amount of electronics on a gasoline engine back then were minimal, and so they're more EMP resistant. Whereas the computer circuits for fuel injection, emissions control, timing having to do with the ignition timing of a vehicle, they become smaller, more sensitive to damage from an EMP type device. So that is a consideration. Back when I was in California, I had my 1986 F-250, heavy duty, by the way, which means it had a 1-ton rear end under it, but it had a fully mechanical diesel engine. And that thing is it was a fucking pig. It got 16 miles to the gallon, but when I say pig, what I mean is it would just go through mud. It didn't give a shit. It was great. I ended up getting rid of everything because, as you know, I went to the RMZ, and that helped pay for stuff. Really, just I streamlined my life, folks. I absolutely streamlined it. But that was a great vehicle, great SHTF vehicle, 86 F-250 with a 6.9 international diesel. But there's a lot of older vehicles out there, folks. And again, if an EMP hits on one side of the country, will it affect all? Will all cars be knocked out? Will all computers be knocked out? Will all radios be knocked out? We just don't know. We don't even know if we're going to have an EMP. We just know it's a risk, or it's a threat, or it's a potential. All right, we got Velociraptor. I love that name. That's just fucking cool. I wish I had thought of that. The Velociraptor 6 does a $19.99 super chat donation. He says, good to see you, brother. Have you covered the container ship shortage? We've been at peak shipping since 2008-2020, but yet the shelves are not as stocked. Where's the extra product being hoarded? Oh, this is Winnie G. Pooh. God bless you, Winnie G. Pooh. I love it, man. Winnie does a good job dicking with the opponents. We'll just leave it at that. Keep doing what you do, Velociraptor, and do it well. Okay. Shipping container. We had this thing where they shut the whole world down and there were ships parked everywhere. And then now they're saying, oh no, we're trying to ship shit everywhere and we don't have enough containers. And the price, I think, as noted earlier, is $33,000 to buy a shipping container or to commission it for stuffing with your stuff. The price of shipping goes up. The price of the product goes up at the retail end. It goes up all along the way, and everyone adds what it costs them plus a little more margin, right? Whatever their margin is, they add on top. Well, the price went up 20% for me, so I'm going to raise it 30% to this person. So this person's paying 30% more over here. And then when they get their bill, they're like, well, we just paid 30% more, so we're going to make it 50%. So we get the increase plus our profit. People aren't in business to lose money out there, folks. So where's the extra product being hoarded? There's, in my opinion, and I have absolutely no evidence whatsoever. I have no evidence whatsoever. We're being told you can't get e-bikes. We're being told you can't get refrigerators. We're being told you can't get computer chips. You can't get car parts. We're being told you can't get this, you can't get that, because of China having supply line issues and China saying, you know what, we're not going to send that to America. So even though there's all of these sectors and all of their parts, right, that would come as a result of that, they're not shipping e-bikes over here. And if they ship over, say, 100,000 e-bikes a month, it sounds like a good number. What the fuck? 100,000 e-bikes a month, that's how many shipping containers? Right? So and they're not shipping them, right? Because they don't have the parts, because they don't have the chips. Those things take computer chips. My question is, why are the shipping containers, one, so expensive? And why does there appear to be a shortage of them? My thinking is this is a manufactured crisis. It is complete fiction that there's a shortage of shipping containers. If there's a shortage of materials and supplies, then that means not as much is being shipped, yet we're being told there is no ability to ship them. I don't know what's going on, folks, but I smell a fucking dead rat and it stinks. I think we're being lied to. We're being lied to all the time. So why wouldn't we be surprised that we're being lied to about the shipping costs and shipping containers and availability of materials? Are you telling me that all of a sudden they don't have the ability in China to create what they created last year? I think China is trying to screw with America. That's what I think. Oh, not China. They're straight shooters. Yeah, right. They're straight shooters. They're about as straight, right, as Hunter Biden. Crazy. John Quackenbush is now a YouTube member. Welcome, John Quackenbush. And we're still well over, folks. We're still well over 1,000 people live right now, which tells me that you want to hear about police firing rubber bullets and pepper spray into a crowd of anti-lockdown protesters in Melbourne, Australia. Oh, that's right, folks. We can't have that. We can't have people being free. We can't have protesters unless they're protesting Black Lives Matter, unless they're protesting, all cops are bastards and defund the police. We can't have people protesting out on the street unless they believe that America's racist, anti whatever, right? It's incredible. Yeah, folks, after 2 hours, we still have well over 1,000 people here. Well over 1,000 people. 2 hours, folks. Joe Biden can't string together 2 sentences, much less 2 hours. Good. Okay, it looks like we are done. That means I can wrap up, folks. I can wrap up, but I've got a couple more things I want to talk about in addition to this. That's cool. That was made by one of you guys. He sent it to JJ Jen, Jenny Jen says just checking in. Give yourself a big hug and a kiss, Jen. Give Lucas a big hug and a kiss when you see that kid. Thank you for the great super chat donation, Jen, and thank you everybody for the moral support. Thank you everybody for the moral support. I could not do this job without you guys saying we need to keep doing this, because it is incredibly difficult. It is a brain drain, folks. It is disheartening. It is demoralizing to go through the amount of shit I go through every day, but I've been told it's really important that I continue to do this, and I believe it. I really do. It is just, for me, it's incredibly important we continue to have these conversations. Now, I also wanted to let everyone know that the Reverend Jesse Jackson and his wife are both hospitalized. They're both hospitalized. It's also my understanding that that they had their tequila. Interesting what's going on out there, folks. It's interesting what is going on. I want you to be prepared. I want to thank you guys again for all that you do for me, that you keep us going here at the Prepared Mind Network. It's important to share. It's important to hit subscribe. It's important to hit the thumbs up. Everything you do is important. It's important that you contact political people in Washington at the state level, local. It's important to contact even your sheriff's department. It's important to contact the police department and say, hey, we are the people and we support you when you protect our rights. And you can say that to them. You don't have to be a dick. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be threatening. In fact, I advise against all those things. But when I talk to law enforcement, I'm continually and pleasantly surprised that they have a very positive response to my phrases, the way I choose to talk to them about. It's really important. You guys have families too. You guys have wives and children. You have mothers and fathers, and right, they have their rights. And it's just an incredible. It's just an incredible set of circumstances that's playing out in front of us. And we've got Timmy. Timmy is the one who did that cool outro. He says, there was a time when I thought something like this might seem too slick for John's channel. But over the past few months, he's been adding different elements, and they're more sophisticated. And yeah, we've really done all we can, folks. We're doing all we can to reach out. And again, it's your support, and you guys want this to happen, and so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not quitting. I'm going to go down swinging if I go down at all. I want everyone to be careful. I want everyone to be prepared. I want everyone to watch out for each other, help one another as much as we can. And I want to thank you again, Tim. I've got the entire message right here in front of me. You guys, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed. It was a great zoo presentation, great zoo broadcast here on Sunday Night Live. And I'll see you bright and early. We'll start again tomorrow because shit has hit the fan, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.